you. Call the July 19th, 2021 Town of Somerville Planning Commission to order. First order of business is the approval of minutes from the meeting on June 21st. Are there any additions, corrections, changes that need made to those as published? Hearing none, we'll accept them as they were sent out. Next order of business is public hearings. The first is a petition by Michael Lawrence Knotts and Laura McCurry Knotts to annex Dorchester County TMS number 136-07-01-002, located at 100 West Butternut Road, totaling approximately 0.85 acres, currently zoned CN, Neighborhood Commercial in Dorchester County, and will be zoned GB, General Business, upon annexation to the town of Somerville's municipal limits. It's in Council District 1. Is there anyone that wants to speak to this?
Yeah, what would be, is going to be annexed into the city?
Yes, sir.
What would be the benefit of that? What I see is, I read an article about the city complaining about a lot of donut holes around the county. And then I see that you're creating more by skipping a lot of county property and then pulling this one in. And I would just like to know what would be the benefit, since I live next door, maybe I could benefit by this. Personally, I'd rather stay out of the city. And then after reading about the donut holes, then I can't understand what would be the benefit of this going to the city.
Well, in order to be annexed, it has to be contiguous to the city. So one side or the other is touching the city now. I believe Jesse's bringing up the map. So the parcel in question is the one hatched in red, and you can see right across the street from it, which counts as being contiguous, is that's the public lands. That's the firehouse right there on the corner at Butternut, and then the streets on, or all the property on the other side of Central is all in town. So that makes them contiguous to town. Any one of those properties facing on Central Avenue could ask for annexation. Now, I don't know why the owner wants to annex. I mean, there are a lot of reasons that I do, not the least is the police, fire protection, and the other services of the town.
Why would the city want to create more pocket holes or donut holes?
Well, the city's not creating a donut hole. They're actually picking up that land, and it's more of it that's contiguous with property that's already in town.
All right, thank you. The hearing in this place is terrible. Yeah, PA system?
I believe it's on.
Terrible.
Good afternoon.
For my hearing, sorry.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman. My name is Robbie Robbins, and I represent Zach and Molly Moon, who are the business owners in this matter, and they are under contract to buy this property from Mr. Knotts and Mrs. Knotts, and he is currently operating and has a permit for a golf repair business. And during the pandemic, they relocated here and started an internet golf sale business. And they were not able to answer this gentleman's question from our perspective. There are a couple of reasons why several reasons we'd like to annex into the town. First, they were not able to really get any cooperation from the county for what they wanted to do. Secondly, they have had pleasant dealings with the town, particularly the building license. department. And thirdly, as you mentioned, Mr. Chairman, they would like to have the services that the town provides. And they want to be good neighbors, and they want to be a part of Somerville. They're a young couple. I think they're in their 30s. They have 2 young children, and this business has really taken off for them. So they would like to annex in. They filed this application on their own. They then asked me to help them, and I've talked to Ms. Schuler a couple of times about this project, and she has recommended that it be classified as neighborhood business, and I agree with her that that is the right classification. As she accurately said, with the pending application, it might be considered spot zoning. So we would ask that you first allow for this matter to be annexed into the town, and then when we come back up later to grant the zoning classification as requested by Ms. Schuler. And I'm happy to answer any questions that y'all might have if you have any.
Thanks, Robbie.
Thank you, sir.
Robbie, I'm sorry, a question. And to answer this gentleman's question or address an issue he raised, your clients are withdrawing the request for general business
Yes, sir.
and will limit it to neighborhood business,
Yes, sir.
which limits the type of businesses in the future that might be operated there.
Yes, sir.
So it'd be compatible with the neighborhood. All right,
And
okay.
and I don't know if y'all have been by there recently, but he has erected a very nice fence. I think he told me he's got about $20,000 in expenses in creating a fence that gives him some privacy from the busy Central Avenue, and also protects the town in terms of having the golf carts back behind the fence, and it's no kind of eyesore problem. He's not, as I told Ms. Schuler, he's not selling golf carts like you would see on a car dealership. He's selling them over the internet and delivering them off-site to the customers that do business with him.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Is there anyone else that wants to speak to this? Seeing no one, we'll close this one. And the next order of business is a petition by the Rosemary Family Limited Partnership to annex Berkeley County TMS numbers 221-0000-005, 200, 201, 202, and 220-00-02019, approximately 100.23 acres total, currently zoned PD, OP, IP, Planned Development District, Office or Industrial Park in Berkeley County, and will be zoned general business upon annexation into the town of Somerville's municipal limits in Council District 2. Is there anyone that wishes to speak to this? Hey, Chris.
Are you? I'm Chris Campo with Seaman Whiteside. I'm representing the folks that have this property under contract. They are seeking to rezone it to general business, which is more compatible with their uses, that they would be bringing it into the town of Somerville. I'm really here for any questions you may have on items number 2 and 3. Number 2 they have under contract, and number 3 they actually own. So we're looking at redeveloping those parcels. Number 3 was brought into the town about a year ago, and number 2 they're somewhat adding to it. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Commissioners have any questions?
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who wants to talk to this matter? Seeing no one, we'll close that one and go on to the item number 3, the request to rezone TMS numbers 13000000008 and 130000050 located on North Maple Street, approximately 20.91 acres and owned by CVEA Somerville 1 LLC from neighborhood mixed use to general business, Council District 1. Is there anyone that wants to speak more to this issue? Seeing no one rise to the occasion, we'll close item 3. Item 4, proposed amendments to the Somerville Unified Development Ordinance, Chapter 1, Purpose and Applicability, Section 1.5, Scope of Authority, and Section 1.9, Transitional Provisions. Would you like to tell us about that, Jesse, or is there someone else here? Find out.
All of these amendments were proposed by council and given first reading at a special council meeting June 30th. So that's, and they're sorted by chapter.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. Get back to my.
Jesse, I had a question. The food cart ordinance appears first on the list. Is that just kind of out of order? Are we going by number? That's section 3, but numerically the first one would be the scope of authority, section 1.
Yes.
He was just putting it on pass.
I just gave it to you as it was given to me, so I apologize if it's slightly out.
No, when council did it, they got jumbled up. Okay.
Okay.
Actually, council did the food cart ordinance at a special meeting separately from the rest. So that's the reason it's coming first in the mix, and then the rest of them they did all at the last
Okay.
town council meeting.
So we're doing what you called the public hearing on is number 4, section 1, right?
Correct.
Okay. I just make sure I'm following along correctly.
Well, I would,
We'll get to section 3 in a moment, it looks like.
yeah, that's, all right. So is there anybody who wants to talk to chapter 1? Close that. Go to item 5, proposed amendments to the Somerville Unified Development Ordinance, Chapter 2. District Section 2.3, General Lot and Building Provisions, Section 2.5, Mixed Use District Standards, Conventional District Standards, and Section 2.10, Plan Development District. Is there anyone that wishes to address that chapter? Closed, and we'll go on to item 6, proposed amendments to the Somerville Unified Development Ordinance, Chapter 3, Use Provisions, Section 3.3, Table of Permitted Uses, Section 3.4, Conditional Use Provisions, Section 3.5, Accessory Uses and Structures, Section 3.6, Temporary Uses. Is there anyone that wants to address Chapter 3? Close that and go to the next. Chapter 7, proposed amendments to, or item 7, proposed amendments to the Somerville Unified Development Ordinance, Chapter 4, Site and Building Design Guidelines, Section 4.2, Design Guidelines, Section 4.3, Residential Building Design Guidelines, Section 4.4, Mixed Use Building Design Guidelines, Section 4.5, Suburban Commercial Building Design Guidelines, and Section 4.6, Industrial Building Designs, and 4.7, Civic Institutional Building Designs, all under Chapter 4 of the UDO. Is there anyone that wants to talk to these? We'll close that and move to the next. Proposed amendments to the Somerville Unified Development Ordinance, Chapter 5, Subdivision and Infrastructure Standards, Section 5.2, Applicability and Administration, Section 5.3, Required Improvements and Coordination for All Development, Section 5.4, Land Suitability, Section 5.6, Street Classification and Design, Section 5.7, Street Construction Standards, Section 5.8, Access and Connectivity, Section 5.9, Traffic Impact Analysis, Section 5.10, Easements and Dedications, and Section 5.11, Surveying, Inspections, and Warranties. Anyone wants to address Chapter 5?
I do. In Chapter 5, there's all these rules on parking lots and all of that have been deleted. One of them is just to seem to make it, what's in a document of this type.
We'll take this up again under new business,
Okay.
and we'll,
Okay,
that's all right.
yeah, it's fine. Didn't know which part it was supposed to.
But public hearing, we're trying to accept information
Okay.
from the public. All right, hearing no more from the public, we'll close that one, then we'll move on to Chapter 6, Proposed Amendments, Parks and Open Space, Section 6.2, Dedication and Conservation Requirements, Section 6.3, Payment in lieu of dedication and conservation credit for parks and greenway connections, Section 6.4, Park Standards, Section 6.5, Open Space Standards, and Section 6.6, Ownership and Maintenance. Is there anyone that wants to address Chapter 6? Seeing no one, we'll close that. Move to Chapter 7, Proposed Amendments to Chapter 7, Parking and Driveways, Section 7.1, Purpose and Intent, Section 7.2, Applicability, Section 7.3, Vehicle Parking Locations, Section 7.4, Required Parking, Section 7.5, Bicycle Parking Standards, Section 7.6, Parking Lots Design Standards, and Section 7.7, Driveways and Off-Street Parking Access. Anyone that wants to address Chapter 7? Seeing no one, we'll close that. Move to Chapter 8, item number 11, Proposed Amendments. Chapter 8, Tree Preservation, Landscaping and Screening. Section 8.2, Applicability. Section 8.3, Tree Protection. Section 8.5, Parking Area Landscaping. Section 8.6, Screening Buffers. Section 8.7, Installation and Maintenance Standards. And Section 8.8, Administration. So anyone wants to speak to Chapter 8?
Good afternoon. My name is Peter Wallace. I live on 427 West Carolina Avenue, and I happen to also be a member of the Somerville Tree Protection Board. The Tree Protection Board, to a man and woman, have serious concerns about changes being proposed in this set of alterations. So much so that we have co-authored a letter to the planning director, who we requested be handed to you at some point. And And there are specifics mentioned in there, so I don't want to waste time spending time on specifics that you have already read or will read. However, our greatest concern is that this has not been discussed. None of these issues have ever been brought up to us as the body that's responsible for seeing that the ordinance, the tree ordinance, is adhered to properly, and that's what we deal with monthly. It is my understanding that there have been no discussions whatsoever with staff about any of the changes listed here, which places it in, as all the other mountain of things that you've had to read in these amendments to the UDO, puts an enormous amount of work on you, and with little discussion or no discussion, which may be the case elsewise. And I can't conceive of a good way to do this, to thoroughly treat these individual points. For us, some of these are quite significant. If I were to summarize in my own mind of what might be a reason for the kind of changes that are requested here, I would be guessing, but it would imply to me that everything here, the reductions in regulations, in the tree fund, mitigation alternatives, all the things that give flexibility for us to be able to let some actions occur with trees with an alternative motion that someone else is going to perform. It takes away the flexibility. It simply does not address the reality of the kind of decisions we have to make, which are never always black and white. But I would say that the thing that these changes do most is make it easier for tree removal without consequences. And again, we are here to protect the trees of Somerville. This is what the ordinance is for. We're to live the ordinance. And this is going to hamper our ability to do it, and it will help not perpetuate the tree cover in this town, which you don't have to look too far to see, as well as it could be otherwise. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sir, just, you had concerns that you weren't consulted, and I respect that. Our task is to hold this public hearing to let people do it, and Jesse did pass on your comments from your commission, and they're very much appreciated. And in that, you mentioned you didn't have enough time to go through it in detail. If you have time before council meeting, I would encourage you to submit additional comments to Jesse and to council. Also, we'll be through with it by then, but the council is going to consider this. So please share with them any comments you have and any other constructive changes that might address some of their, you can probably see what they're trying to do. And if you can suggest something that accomplishes the council's goals and preserves the trees in a way that you think is appropriate, that would probably be appreciated by council.
Great. And council's goal. Thank you very much, sir.
Okay.
Is there anyone else that wants to address Chapter 8? Not, we'll close that. We'll go on to item 12, proposed amendments to the Somerville Unified Development Ordinance, Chapter 9.
Oh, wait a minute.
Sorry, did you want to?
Sign in. I am Faye Campbell. I am also a member of the Tree Protection Board of Somerville, and I am proud that Somerville has the oldest tree ordinance in the state. There are other municipalities that call Somerville to model their tree ordinance after ours. This says that we have a strong tree ordinance, and for this to be altered without contacting our board is offensive, and I just can't imagine that happening. But obviously it is. I've been out of pocket. I've got shingles, not contagious now, but It sure did put me aside. But we've got a strong tree board of qualified volunteers that are working for Somerville and to preserve our trees. This is our goal. And so when there needs to be a change, I think our board needs to be consulted with this. Thank you for hearing me.
Thank you, Faye.
Thank you.
Now on to Chapter 9, lighting, Section 9.2 applicability, and Section 9.3 design standards. Is there anyone that wants to talk to the lighting chapter? If not, close that and move on to item 13, proposed amendments to the Somerville Unified Development Ordinance, Chapter 10, signs. Section 10.3 residential signs, Section 10.4 mixed-use commercial and industrial signage, Section 10.5 changeable copy signs, Section 10.6 sign illumination, Section 10.7 temporary signs, Section 10.8 signs that do not require a permit, Section 10.9 prohibited signs, and Section 10.10 administration. Is there anyone that wants to address Chapter 10, signs? Not, we'll close that and open item 14, proposed amendments to the Somerville Unified Development Ordinance, Chapter 12, nonconformities, Section 12.3, general provisions and procedures, Section 12.4, nonconforming uses, Section 12.5, nonconforming structures, Section 12.6, nonconforming uses, and Section 12.9, nonconforming sites. Is there anyone that wants to talk to this? Seeing no one, we'll close that item. Move to item 15, proposed amendments to the Somerville Unified Development Ordinance, Chapter 13, administration and procedures, Chapter 13.2, administrative officials and agencies, Section 13.3, boards and commissions, Section 13.5, application requirements, Section 13.7, administrative permits, Section 13.8, design review, Section 13.9, land development and subdivision, Section 13.10, adjustments and appeals, and Section 13.11, amendments and other legislative actions. Is there anyone that wants to address Chapter 13? Seeing no one, we'll close that one. And move on to Chapter 16. Proposed amendments to the Somerville Unified Development Ordinance, Chapter 14, violations and enforcement, and Section 14.2, enforcement. Is anyone that wants to speak to Chapter 14? Seeing no one, we'll close item 16 and go to item 17. Proposed amendments to the Somerville Unified Development Ordinance, Chapter 3, use provisions, Chapter 3.3, table of permitted uses, and subsection 3.6.1, permitted temporary uses, item G, mobile food and retail vending. Does anyone want to speak to this? Seeing no one, we'll close that. There being no old business, we'll move right into new business. First item is new street names.
Yes.
So,
We have two different developments that need street names approved. The first is Limehouse Village Phase 3A. Three possible street names. We have Red Bluff Street, Slater Lake Lane, and Upper Trestles Avenue. And all three have been approved by the counties as having no existing conflicts.
okay. What say the commission?
Motion to approve the street names for Limehouse Village Phase 3, Red Bluff Street, Slater Lane, Lake Lane, and Upper Trestles Avenue.
Do I have a second? Motion and a second, discussion? Seeing none, hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? The ayes have it.
The next development is the Sheep Island PUD. This is actually for phases, I believe, I think it's for phase 1A. I think they only need 5 road names at this time, but as this development will continue, if y'all are amenable, like all these names could be approved at this time. Attadale Road, Broadstone Drive, Great Glen Way, Lilac Grove Way, Mid Mills Lane, Riverside Gardens Drive, Ruthven Drive, Terrace View Drive, and White Bridge Road. Again, all of these have gone through approval by the county in terms of conflicts as well.
Okay.
Make a motion to approve the street
Motion-
names as read.
Second?
Motion approve and a second. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Okay. Second item of business is the petition by Michael Lawrence Knotts and Laura McCurry Knotts to annex Dorchester County TMS number 13607010002 located at 100 West Butternut Road, totaling approximately 0.85 acres, currently zoned CN neighborhood commercial in Dorchester County, and is asked to be zoned general business upon annexation to the town of Somerville's municipal limits, Council District 1. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve is read.
Have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
I'd like to amend it to make it neighborhood business rather than general business in accordance with the agreement of the petitioner and the recommendation of the town staff.
Second.
I have a motion to amend and a second. Is there any discussion on the amendment? If not, we'll call for the question on the amendment. All those in favor of the amendment signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, like sign. The ayes have it. Now, on the motion as amended, is there any discussion on the motion as amended? Seeing none, then all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Ayes have it.
Thank you all very much.
Back to my agenda here.
Jim, do you need me to go back to the agenda?
That's all right. I've got one here. Is the petition by the Rosemary Family Limited Partnership to annex Berkeley County TMS numbers 221-00005, 200, 201, 202, and 220-0002019, approximately 100.23 acres, currently zoned Planned Development District Office or Industrial Park in Berkeley County, and will be zoned general business upon annexation into the town of Somerville municipal limits, Council District 2. Is that all 3 of these parcels? No,
So-
just the 2 upper ones and
Yeah, so it's technically, I have parcels. So it's the
Oh,
ones
okay.
that, not the one that's crosshatched, but the one that just
Right.
have the slanted lines across. It's all of that land is the 100.2 acres.
The two areas on the top of the map.
Yes, sir.
Any,
Make a motion to approve the annexation and zoning.
I have a motion to approve
Second?
and a second. Any discussion? No discussion. All right, I'll call for the question. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? The ayes have it. I think the next one is the crosshatch section on the bottom,
Yes.
which is a request to rezone TMS numbers 13000000008 and 130000050, located on North Maple Street, approximately 20.91 acres, owned by CVEA Somerville 1 LLC, from neighborhood mixed use to general business in Council District 1. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve is read.
Second? Second. Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All right, then we'll call for the question. All in favor of the motion is read, signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? The ayes have it. Okay. A lot of stuff in this packet. All right. Rezone. All right, proposed amendments to the Somerville Unified Development Ordinance, Chapter 1, Purpose and Applicability, Section 1.5, Scope of Authority, and Section 1.9, Transitional Provisions. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve the amendment.
Is there a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion? Being no discussion, we'll call for the question. All in favor of approval of the amendment, signify
Well,
by
I did have one just comment I'll make now, and it's going to apply to all of these
Okay.
later, is that it's apparent that the council has spent a lot of time going through the UDO and making proposed amendments. So at a deference to their work, I'm going to generally defer to what they recommend. I'll have, if I don't comment, it's going to be because of deference to the council's time that they've spent and the actions that they believe are necessary to take here. Although I may make comments on specific ones later, but I'm just.
That's encouraged by all the commissioners.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, and if I may, I take the opposite opinion. A zoning ordinance rule of a UDO is to give the town things that they can enforce when it comes to a developer. You always hope you get the good developer who does everything by the book, and a lot of times you don't. So it's like the rules in school. These are the rules for that one bad kid who's going to show up. And that's what it's for. So the more restrictions you have, it's easier to take care of things. In the document itself, there's some very strange things. They use the word calendar day, business day, and day. Nothing is uniform. And it may need to be proofread by somebody who's used to doing these. And there's just reduction of things that you could do. The people from the tree group were saying that they had ways of helping things to be better. And now those choices that you would have may no longer be available to you. So I think there may have been some minor changes, but what I've seen here, I don't agree with.
All right. Back to the agenda.
You want mine?
All right, this is chapter 1. We've had general comments from 2 of the commissioners.
And my specific comment on this one is the scope of authority. I would not delete that. As to the other changes, I'll defer to council on that.
I understand. Yeah, I think that a number, and this one and a number of the other ordinances, their first reading actually deleted things that need to be there either from a legal standpoint or they should either be there as they were original or at least referenced that body of the state law that they're based on. Mm-hmm. They have to understand that the planning came about by a rule of the state in granting home rule for that particular thing, and there were certain guidelines that had to be there, and I'm afraid they have missed that point in a couple of these sections. And I would also digress to the point that this document that we're working with here is one that actually belongs to council. It doesn't belong to us anymore. It is their work, and we will bless it if we so choose, or we will give them our comments as to why we don't think it's right, but there's no way that we can amend the document in this form.
Correct.
All right, back to this chapter 1 of the ordinance with our comments. Is there any further discussion on that? Then I think I have on the floor a motion to approve it with reservations. So all in favor signify by saying aye.
Will the comments be put?
They're part of our record.
You put the comments in the record?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Yes, then I'll make a motion to approve. Then yes, I vote in favor.
Okay. All right, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Opposed. Have,
That board, I can't see.
Yes.
Close.
It's hard for me. I'm way down here. Sorry.
We got to get you a bigger chair.
and the ayes have it with one opposed. Okay, we'll go on to proposed amendment to the ordinance in chapter 2. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
No.
The ayes have it. proposed amendments to the Somerville Unified Development Ordinance, Chapter 3.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion to approve and a second. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
No.
Ayes have it. We're on to Chapter 4, proposed amendments to the Somerville Unified Development Ordinance, Site and Building Design. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All in favor of the ordinance signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Opposed.
Ayes have it. Okay. Okay, proposed amendments to the Somerville Unified Development Ordinance, Chapter 5, Subdivision and Infrastructure Standards. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor of the ordinance signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
No.
The ayes have it. Proposed amendments to the Somerville Unified Development Ordinance, Chapter 6, Parks and Open Space. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Must have lost it. I had a note.
All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed?
No.
Ayes have it. Proposed amendments to the Somerville Unified Development Ordinance, Chapter 7. Is that right? Yes. Parking and driveways. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
I do. On 7.1, purpose and intent, the provisions of parking facilities may be regulated. In a document like this, you either say it will, it shall, or will, or it won't. This is may. That is conditional and depends on, who is the petitioner or anything. And the impacts, it talks about increased water volume, increased surface level glare, all those things. Those are things you'd want to have, and those have been deleted. There's another one for bicycle standards. They were making the bicycle spaces smaller, the roadway smaller. If you've ever ridden a bicycle in Somerville, you don't want a smaller path to go on. And they're trying to pick you up as it is now. You'd rather have the larger one, so. I'll be voting against this too.
Any more discussion?
Give me just a moment, please.
Sure.
Okay, thank you. I have no comments.
There being no more discussion, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
No.
Have the ayes carried 3-2. Okay, item number 12, proposed amendments to the Somerville Unified Development Ordinance, Chapter 8, Tree Preservation. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Discussion?
I believe that the mitigation alternatives as proposed by deleting all of them is too strict. And I would recommend that council confer with the tree committee and work with them to come up with any changes that would be mutually agreeable to the committee and to council.
Okay. Any other discussion? Charlie?
I agree with the tree committee. I do have a problem with the electrical company coming through and cutting down limbs and trees that really, it needs to be monitored by this committee or some, in some capacity.
Further discussion? I have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Those opposed?
No.
No.
No, excuse me, I meant to say no.
I,
Sorry. We voted yay.
I passed, no,
Nobody.
nobody.
Nobody? Okay, it's all nay.
You voted? No. Yeah. It was unanimous to oppose that.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Okay, proposed amendments to the Somerville Unified Development Ordinance, Chapter 9. Do I have a motion?
Motion approved.
Second?
Have a motion and a second. Discussion? No discussion. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
No.
The ayes have it. Proposed amendments to the Somerville Unified Development Ordinance, Chapter 10, signs. Do I have a motion?
Motion approved.
Second?
Have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
I do. You know, when it comes to signs, you want a town to look nice. You don't want it to look like a honky-tonk village. So the more things you can do to restrict signs, the better you are. So taking anything out is unacceptable.
Also, I think that existing signs cannot be required to be changed under this, but it would apply to future signs. So I don't see any problem with having strict standards as to future signs. They would not impose any undue cost upon existing businesses, but new businesses would have to comply with stricter standards. So I think the stricter standards, I agree with my fellow commissioner that stricter standards would be better.
Further discussion? In favor of the ordinance, signify by saying aye. Opposed? Like sign?
No.
No?
No.
Okay, item 15, proposed amendments to the Somerville Unified Development Ordinance, Chapter 12, nonconformities. Do I have a motion?
Motion approved.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Discussion? Hearing
What I
none.
see is this is some changes made in the UDO, which is a general national document to try to make it more applicable and softer to use in Somerville, like expansion of structures and how that can be done. I think the intent of these changes is to give more flexibility to the town in regulating uses, and so and by therefore the staff would have more flexibility in addressing how buildings are built and whether they conform or don't conform. So for those reasons, I'm going to approve this one.
Okay, and I would disagree because under D, town staff shall review and approve proposed landscaping plans, et cetera, has been deleted. They've taken them out of that role too.
Leaving that also, because we've got a changing population, changing times, it's gonna make a mess. There's nothing else picked up, just fixed it. You can't blame them, you can't blame the public that's coming out, because, I mean, they're following what the trends are. So you've gotta make a decision about it.
But Jesse, before the UDO, did the town planning have any say-so over landscaping?
In certain situations, yes.
Pardon me?
In certain situations, yes.
Okay.
On a change of use, so if it changed from residential to commercial, they had to come into conformance with landscaping requirements. If they increased the by more than 50%, then it had to come into conformance.
And that was before the UDO?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Anything further? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed?
No?
Okay, proposed amendments to the Somerville Unified Development Ordinance, Chapter 13, Administration and Procedures.
Motion approved.
Second?
Have a motion and a second. Discussion.
Well, this is one of the things the town council creates, the committees and commissions that report to it, including ourselves. And I'm just going to address the changes as to the planning commission from this. There are deletions from things that we would consider in the future. And they have the power to do that. The council can tell us what to look at and what not to look at. But if they do go through with items under C3, 5, and 6 to remove it from the planning commission, then my recommendation is they place responsibility to review those items on some other commission. Somebody needs to review those items. And that's in 13.3.2 C3, 5, and 6.
Okay, on 13.4.3, they refer to a decision within 30 days. In 13.4.4, they come up with within 5 calendar days. In a document like this, you need to pick what your time period is to be consistent with it. There's another one about, let's see if I can find it.
Well,
Posting, oh, here it is. Adjustments and appeals. Appeal of administrative decision. There's no public notification on the town website, posting in the newspaper. All those things that were posted before, all of a sudden seem to have been taken out. So there'll be no transparency. You won't see what's going on because you won't know what's happening. It's the 13.11 series. And before that, the 13.10. Yeah.
I think, and along with what Tom was saying, one of the sections they took out was the annexations coming through the planning committee and their planning commission. And of course, that was done because of problems we had several years ago, and because the annexation created a change in the zoning. And when it came, it did, and at that time it didn't go through the planning commission, and there was a lawsuit against the town for it. And at that time is when town council put that in our bailiwick, was to review annexations because of that very thing. So they need to re-examine that that portion as well as the other ones. So like Tom says, somebody has to review those things.
Mhm.
Yeah, consistency. No.
All right, any other discussion on this one? All in favor signify by saying aye. Those opposed?
No.
No.
And everybody,
Yes.
I'm just making sure. Again, I can't,
Yeah.
I'm trying to look up and I can't quite see.
We should give you a seat up here, I think.
Probably raise this, but then I can't fit my legs under the desk, so.
Okay, proposed amendments to the Somerville Unified Development Ordinance, Chapter 14, enforcement. Do I have a motion?
Motion approved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Discussion?
In item 3, it has 10 days to 30 days. What is it, a calendar day, business day? Violation shall be removed or abated. Time period should be no less than 10 days or no more than 30 days, except in emergency cases. You could say, well, I thought it was business days. I'm in my second week now.
There are rules, legal standards for interpreting these if it's not specified. So they will be determined.
It'd be nice to specify that,
It's,
you know?
you don't have to because it's already known. If it's 30 days, then it's 30
Well, if it's legally
calendar
defined,
days. It's not business.
if they went from 3 to 10, what rule are they, what state law or whatever are they applying to this? I think the state
This-
law would give you those time periods.
I'm just saying there's standards of legal interpretation, how these would be interpreted uniformly in the statute. It's 'cause all statutes. If it's 3 days, 10 days, 30 days, they don't have to specify. Because there's already standards out there that apply to them.
Okay, anything more? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed?
No,
Failed 3-2.
Failed 3-2?
Yeah. All right, proposed amendments to the Somerville Unified Development Ordinance, Chapter 3, use provisions.
Motion to approve.
second?
This is the
Food truck.
food truck one.
Yeah.
Okay, yes.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
I think this is an example of where the UDO is a good document in general, but it is so generalized that when it's applied specifically, it had problems. And this is an example of the problems that the general UDO had. But with these amendments, it allows food trucks to be regulated but also to be utilized in Somerville. And I'm in favor of it.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed?
No,
Motion passes. All right. Brings us to the end of our agenda. No, you have anything miscellaneous for us, Jesse?
I do not.
All right, I'll entertain a motion.
motion to adjourn.
Have a motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.